In Venezuela, the situation is becoming absolutely critical. A total mobilization has been declared to confront it.
And maximum mobilization to guarantee peace. God is with us and we have victory on our side.
In response to a possible aggression from the United States, there are voices that indicate the situation could actually develop like the Iranian scenario. That is, the United States could bomb Venezuela and then we would see whether they would end up entering or not. With all the forces it now has stationed right on the shores of the country. I repeat, Venezuela is at an absolutely crucial moment, fighting for its own sovereignty. And here we're not talking about whether we like a regime or not. It's the question of the survival of a country that, for some strange reason, the United States for many years now declared it an open enemy and has since tried to subdue it by any means possible. Venezuela has endured severe sanctions, and now it is facing a full-scale military intervention. Next, we will see how this situation came about, what the possible scenarios are, and above all, what the reaction of each side has been. Meanwhile, here we are practically finishing up. Tomorrow we have a very busy day ahead, once again heading to the airport, and my journey back to Donbass will begin. With the little one, indeed, things go little by little, but I hope at a steady pace. Here are some images of what we've been able to see and experience today. Almost more importantly, an extremely innovative program that is being carried out here in the Al Habouga Special Economic Zone. Are you already seeing it for yourselves? It attracts a lot of attention. Girls from different parts of the world, 77 countries in particular, who come here to the Russian Federation to work. I've been able to talk to them, see how they live, see the conditions in which the whole program takes place. Generally speaking, I think it's brilliant. How is it designed and what's its purpose? More details as soon as I know. I can organize the report and hope it will be soon. I finish once I return for good to my home in Donbass. That said, regarding the Venezuelan issue, well, it started from afar. You could say that it was back in early August. I think it was August 7th. In particular, the United States began to take the first steps toward what could end up being a military intervention and therefore a very clear escalation of the global situation at the international level. Another conflict, and this started with the United States doubling the reward to $50 million for any kind of information that could lead to the downfall. Could we say that about Nicolas Maduro? That's on one hand. On the other, the infamous Cartel of the Suns was declared a terrorist organization in the country. And this generally, well, far from seeking any kind of security anywhere in the world, is done to later justify a possible military intervention. So Venezuela responded already around mid-August. I think it was around the 19th, just a couple of days ago, deploying some 4,500 militiamen all over the country and already gradually mobilizing the entire country for what could indeed end up being an intervention by the United States. This, of course, isn't done just like that, but because Venezuelan intelligence had very clear evidence and information that what has happened would eventually happen. Exactly about 48 hours ago, when the United States on August 21st completed the movement in question, well, on the 20th and 21st, more or less, they moved about 3 warships toward the coast of Venezuela. We're talking about around 4,000 soldiers on board, and they could end up representing well. Indeed, that tremendous escalation of violence in the region is a clear act of aggression. Maduro called it economic aggression and also military aggression. I don't think it's necessary for Maduro to be liked here or disliked for this to not be accurately described with these same words. The Venezuelan reaction was stated, and we're probably seeing it on all the news broadcasts. Total mobilization. Nicolas Maduro expressed himself in an extremely clear way. He is willing to do anything, him and those who want to follow him, which I know for a fact are many, to protect Venezuelan sovereignty.
In the headquarters of military barracks, military units, central public squares, Bolivar squares, and in the headquarters of the popular bases of integral defense of the 15,751 popular bases of integral defense, to a process of national enlistment of all the militia forces of the entire Bolivarian national militia. Saturday and Sunday, the order to defend the homeland has been given. And I always say, in any circumstance, nerves of steel, calm and sanity, maximum popular unity, military police and maximum mobilization to guarantee peace. God is with us and we have victory on our side.
This happened on the same August 21st, which marked the end of this movement of military warships by the United States. Now we are waiting to see how the conflict will develop, which is clearly already underway. It has intensified because it is underway. It has been going on for many years. Let me take this opportunity to make a brief pause. In terms of having many followers from Spain, many of them aren't exactly fond of the Venezuelan regime. But I think it's very important to emphasize the fact that those countries where the United States has carried out any kind of intervention haven't exactly started to live better lives. And here it's not a matter of putting one regime in place of another, nor is it about personally liking or disliking Maduro. It's a matter of a country, I believe, having the sovereign right to have precisely, even if it's redundant, at least that minimum amount of sovereignty. And they're trying to take that away from Venezuela at all costs, of course, using arguments about democracy and human rights. Whether it's the opposition, whether it's the mother who brought them all. But are we really going to be even remotely serious when the West hasn't cared about any of this? I mean, it's not about whether Maduro is a better or worse president of Venezuela. He's the president that supposedly Venezuelans have chosen right now. And of course, maybe they haven't chosen him. That argument could also be used, but it's something that should be decided by the Venezuelans themselves. When the United States got involved in country X or Y to declare, for example, it was in the Ukrainian case, to a legitimate or illegitimate president. First of all, no one knows who the United States is to decide such a thing. Secondly, how did the Ukrainian issue end up and how is it going today? Do we really want this future for Venezuela? Honestly, this future is not just for Venezuela, but for the world in general. That people keep falling into a war that once again benefits those who don't even live in the country in question. They just want to use it. No one should be fooled. It's for their own interests. So, of course, we're going to keep a very close eye on this whole issue because what's happening in Venezuela is strategic and important. Extremely so, and of course its consequences, whatever they may be, will end up influencing the world in general terms. If Venezuela resists, other countries will also have the possibility to defend their own sovereignty against the aggressor. For some reason, always American. If not, would we be setting yet another precedent that the United States is indeed acting as the master and owner of the whole world, and therefore it subdues and practically enslaves any country it wants and needs for its own interests? Which I believe is not exactly the precedent we would want to set. Above all, taking into account the fact that, thank God, we are already moving toward a multipolar world and therefore a much fairer one. I would love to read your opinions on this from here on out. What is going to happen? What will the outcome end up being? Will they dare to attack Venezuela, or will they have to back down